Hello and welcome to another YouTube video from Routemaster for Hire. If you watched the last video, you'll know that due to the coronavirus lockdown, work on RM1214 has temporarily been suspended. And to keep these videos coming, we've delved deep into the archives to bring you some unseen footage of our restoration and maintenance work, all of which was recorded before lockdown. In this episode, we swap all the wheels between RM1214 and RM765, but why would we want to go to all of that work? Well, keep watching, you'll find out shortly. Our first job was to put RM765 on axle stands to remove both the front wheels. These are going on the front of RM1214. And with the near side up just a few inches on a stand, we repeated the process for the offside. Then the wheels could be removed. Then it was the same process on RM1214. These wheels are going on the front of RM765. Hang on, can we rewind? What was that? Blimey, that's a rare sight. Glyn's just made the tea. After a quick tea break, it was back to removing the wheels on RM1214. Note Glyn putting a drop of oil on the studs. It's good practice to lubricate these before tightening the nuts. And with the front wheels swapped, we could remove the axle stands and put 1214 back on the ground. And with the front swapped, after lunch it was time to make a start changing the rears. The nuts on RM1214 were so tight we needed a torque multiplier to loosen them. Whoever last changed these wheels put these nuts on far too tight. Eventually we got them all off so we could change the wheels over. That's the near side wheel swapped. Now we've just got the 4 to do on the offside. Finally, after all 12 wheels were changed, the nuts were torqued to 450 foot-pounds, and we'll repeat this process again on each wheel on both buses once they've both been out for a run. Right, so these are the split rims that have just come off of our M1214, and before we put them on 765, they're going to get a bit of a makeover. First of all, I'm going to strip the old paint with a needle gun. Once both wheels had been prepped and cleaned, it was time to get the spray gun out for some primer. Once the primer had dried the next day, Tim gave both wheels a coat of Indian Red P-type top coat paint. Note how he's not put any paint inside the holes where the wheel studs will be sitting, as this can cause the nuts to loosen over time. After the first coat was dry, Tim lightly sanded each wheel before applying a second coat. Okay, so while Tim is painting the wheels, I'm going to get these drums ready for painting, because it's no use having lovely looking wheels if you can still see through the holes horrible, dirty, rotten drums. So these are going to get a lick of paint as well. Found them this time. Well, I think that's the best that's going to be. I'm not too worried about this back edge. When the wheel goes back on, you can only really see this kind of section here. So when we paint this, that's the bit that needs to look good. The rest of it I'm not worried about. That'll do. Give it a clean up now. And give myself a clean up as well. Okay, time to get the paintbrush out. Give it a good mix. It's already had a shake. It's probably bad practice to use your favourite screwdriver as a paint stirrer. Okay, there you go, that's the first one done, just the offside to do now. Now, whilst this primer is drying, I do have a decision to make. I need to decide what colour top coat to put on these drums once this is dry. And there's two trains of thought here. The first is to paint them black, and the second is to paint them the same colour as the wheels. Now, depending on who you speak to, some people say they were always painted black when these buses were in service, whereas others will tell you they were painted the same colour as the wheels. Now, I've been looking at old black and white photos of these buses in service, and it looks to me as if they were painted the same colour as the wheels. So I think that's what the colour I'm going to go with. But if you know differently, please put your comments and your suggestions in the box below. If you work for London Transport and you painted these black, I'd love to hear from you. The next day after the primer had dried, Tim gave both drums 2 coats of the same Indian red paint he'd applied to the wheels. And after the paint had dried, it was time to put the wheels back on. Don't they look so much better now? Okay, have you worked out why we spent a full day changing all those wheels between the two buses and then another couple of days painting the two fronts on 765? Well, let me explain. It's nothing to do with tyre age or tyre wear, it's to do with the style of wheel that have been on these buses, okay? These are the wheels that came off of RM1214 that are now on RM765, and these are RM765's old wheels that we've now put on RM1214. Now have a look at the hubs, they're completely different. On RM765 now, these are the original split rim style wheels. Okay, whereas RM1214, these are the newer single piece rims that LT started to introduce to their buses, I think in the mid 1980s. Now most preservationists prefer these wheels because they think they look better, and I probably agree with them, they do. But the problem with these wheels is the tyres for these wheels are very hard to get hold of. You can get them, but they are only generally speaking available on special order. Whereas the tyres that fit on these rims are still commercially available. So the theory is, if this bus is out on a wedding hire and we get a puncture, now I've never ever had a puncture on a Routemaster bus, so touch wood it won't happen, but if we did get a puncture, I know at the roadside I could call a tyre recovery company and they would come out and they'd probably have one of these tyres in stock. So they'd change the wheel for me at the roadside and I'd be on my way. On the other hand, if this bus got a puncture, I know I ain't going to get one of these tyres replaced by a commercial company. I'm going to have to specially order it, it's going to have to come from China, and I'm going to have to wait 6 weeks for it to be delivered. So that is why we put the most commonly available tyre on the bus that is going to do the most miles. As you know, once we've done RM1214 and she's back out on the road, she's going to become a workhorse. And so it makes sense to put the most commonly available tyre on the bus that's going to do the most miles. So that's why we spent a whole day swapping those 12 wheels over. I hope that has answered your question, and I hope that's made sense. It's going. Just what I didn't want to happen.